The Garrels here, Peterson,
Here.
Patovich,
Here.
Grizzly here, and Jeff Hamilton is absent. So, all right, moving on to item number 2. Public comment, right? Anybody in this? Any nice audience have any comment? Apparently. Everyone quiet? Okay. Item number 3, we have approval of the agenda. Motion
Motion.
by Patovich, second.
Second.
Second by Peterson, voice vote. All ayes. Aye. Nays. Motion carries. Item number 4, approval of the utility board meetings from June 18, 2024. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Patovich, second.
Second.
Second by Grizzly, voice vote, ayes.
Aye.
Nays. Motion carries. On to item 5, financial. 5A, consideration to approve bills payable. Did we look through them?
Yeah.
Have a
Did you have questions on me?
question?
On the water side, yes, I have a couple. Got the electric one here. So this is the electric. Okay, and it's combined. There was a, something paid for Keith Schneckhoff.
Yep, that was a reimbursement for out-of-pocket medical costs. We transitioned from using Cogsan as our third-party administrator to EDS. And in that transition, there was a period of time where Cogsan was no longer going to process the buy downs for our medical insurance, and we fund them anyways. So the way to remedy that, I believe it was EDS was willing to do it, but they were going to charge us like $500, and we only had maybe 5 employees that had pending claims, so we just paid them directly. So the utility paid half of the claim for Keith Schneckloff and the city paid the other half.
Okay, that's what I was getting at, is I wanted to better understand if that was the total amount, and if he was a city employee, why it was being divided up, so.
Yep, he's paid 50-50, city and utility for his mechanic position.
Okay, understood. And then, the Eastern Iowa Tire in Unit 40, is that for the bucket truck?
That is for our bigger dairy.
Which one? Sorry, I didn't see
It's our
it.
bigger truck. It's
Oh.
our.
Okay, so it's, okay, that's, I just see a big amount for a set of tires, so I just, all right, just wanted to better understand what that was, so. And then the high service pump number 4, the servicing and install, that should be the final bill for that, for this round?
Okay, yes, so that was to have it installed after it was serviced.
Yep, okay. Okay, yeah, that's the questions that I had, so thank you.
Pretty happy with the bills then, I guess. Okay, we have a motion to approve bills payable.
Motion.
Motion by Peterson, second.
Second.
Second by Patovich. All ayes.
Aye.
Nay. Motion carries. Okay, 5B, discussion and consideration to purchase an ice machine for the city shop and discontinue the current lease.
So I guess one of my questions for this is, I know we've had a machine for 16 years,
Technically, yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it.
yeah, we paid.
however long we have, who would be doing the maintenance if we bought this outright? Because that would be, I would guess the only concern is if we weren't properly maintaining it, then maybe like excess charges.
Do we know how much ice is used a day?
I don't know if we track that because it just makes sense.
I mean, these are,
I would say most guys just fill their water cups. That's probably the general use of it.
so we're using 300 pounds, is that, I mean, that's what the daily output is.
Our big one would probably be Summerfest and stuff like that, because I know the city will pack bags out of it.
Yeah, but other than that, do we use? We're just, I mean, the only reason we brought this ice machine up because the lease got carried automatically and it was just, we paid a lot more for this ice machine since we got it than we should have. So we're just trying to find a more economical way to pay for an ice machine or buy it outright than keep paying for this old one.
And then if we did get a smaller one, since they're just using it from the sounds of it for smaller cups and general stuff other than the bigger, like if we have festivals,
Would it be more economical?
just to buy.
Liquor stores, bags.
So they're pretty cheap there, but, anyhow. I guess I have a question on this too. So there's a quote for $125 a month. Or no, that it says we're paying $125 a month.
Yeah, split between the city and us,
Okay, is there anybody, because it looks in the bills payable, it's $50.
$57, usually, whatever it is, half of it every month, yeah. That's what we've been paying on every year, once a month.
Yeah, so,
So outright, if we purchase something like that, we're saving in the long run, but it's just making sure that we're, if there's the filter that needs to be cleaned or
Yeah.
changed.
You need to change the filter and then empty them once a month and clean them out, so you get all the in the bottom, I believe.
Yeah, like slimy and.
But that's what we want to make sure, like, and you guys are obviously around it more, like, is somebody coming out and doing that now?
they should pay the mold and such.
They're responsible for all the maintenance unless we damage it to a point over $2,500, then we have to pay for that. If it's damaged by negligence or abuse of the machine.
The DNA currently come out, or to call them, or do
Have you guys seen them? Basically laid eyes on them. Because some people don't do their job.
Like your water cooler
I
in
know
your
it's been broken
office.
down before. You show up in the morning and there's no ice in the thing and it's all leaked out. And
Yeah.
maintenance guy comes out for that and all that. So
Never seen somebody doing like,
I guess
Generally.
if everybody's doing their day-to-day thing, I've never,
yeah, the routine maintenance, you never seen anybody that's what we're kind of paying for currently.
it's just walking by. It's
Okay, I just.
I've never happened to, unless they do show up and obviously we don't see it, but.
Got it, yeah, that's what we're just wondering about.
So let's look into that a little
Yeah.
bit more, just.
Yeah.
I mean, because obviously there is pros to leasing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess if we lease it, we're looking at $1,500 a year split between the cities, so. So we'd have to get at least 5 years out of it without issue to,
We have a 5-year lease on it,
yeah.
$5,500 to save money, but
But again, if they're not, I mean, I'm just worried about if nobody's really doing what they're supposed to on this lease, as far as cleaning it, I mean, those things can build up mold and
Oh, yeah.
everything else, so.
Yeah.
Want to make sure that,
you guys are drinking ice out of fine.
Yeah, you guys
Still
haven't
in it.
noticed anything?
Yeah.
Yeah.
there's usually enough events that probably happen that we empty it ourselves. So I guess maybe the technician that would service it maybe doesn't think he needs to, or.
Okay.
But
Because they should, and I know, like, we used to have a smaller one, or maybe you guys have one
We have one
at the office, maybe look on there, but when they would come in, because I never paid attention to that stuff, but there should be a maintenance record, they should write them on there.
Right.
And I realized, like, oh, nobody's changed this Culligan icing we had, I
Yeah.
shouldn't say that out loud, but
Mhm.
that and the water. I was like, okay, nobody's changed, it. And people have been drinking out of this for years, and nobody's ever walked in and, I mean, I just assumed
I
something.
don't want anybody to get sick.
Yeah.
Doing something,
Okay, so.
maybe let's table that
Yeah.
and then let's look into, a few more of those questions that we just brought up.
Motion to table till next time.
Motion.
Motion by Heather, second,
Second.
by Peterson. Voice vote.
Aye.
Aye. Table till next meeting. Okay, item C, discussion on invoices for legal services provided by Dixon, Bradshaw, Fowler, and Hagan, PC.
Okay, so I did reach out and spoke with John. That was around June 12th to 17th. I was trying to look that up as I was looking at my phone. I asked him for the records. There was some kickback of not providing them to us. So I said 3 or 4 times, like, this is what we want, this is what we need, this is what we've agreed on. And I explained again the reasoning why we want to see what was in detail, what was being built, because in our experiences, they come in detail. There's nothing on these invoices explaining why. We did not receive them by the suspense date. I did talk to him on the 25th. Said he had looked up a few things and maybe that would suffice for us to pay it. I said, we wanted the records, they're ours. And we did receive those on July 3rd after I emailed the office again. I believe it was the afternoon of the 2nd of July. So we did get those. There's a huge file in there with a lot of things. We're just trying to get that to access. Another thing he did bring up and he spoke to me, the 17th, 18th, that Mrs., I think is it Fresh? She was here for a meeting in February or March. They charged us around $375 and he brought this up. We shouldn't have been charged for that because she was actually in Iowa City and didn't make a round trip call. At that time in the call, he said they were gonna credit us $82. In the email I just received from him from the 3rd, they said they revised the March invoice and are crediting us the whole amount now. So again, our big thing was we want to see the invoices and the detail on them and who was asking for this information. I know there's not going to be any charges for May, but in terms of April, obviously Mike wasn't on board to the letter. We weren't discussing anything with him that we should have these invoices for. So we want to make sure as a board, the community, taxpayers that we're representing, that we have everything accounted for. So I guess, I would recommend we motion this. I've gotta get all the paperwork. What I had told them to, I'll get it all on the spreadsheet, because I've got the invoices we have now on there, and then we can match it up to what it says. Initially, like looking at some of the ones I did see, it's just the attorney's initials on there. It doesn't really say who they were speaking to or what they were talking about. So hopefully the other files that are in the other one that are quite extent, like we'll say something other than that.
Are you not able to open it? Is it, do you
Some
know?
of them I can't, it's not, no, I do, but some of them weren't opening on my computer and I've got, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't really have a computer that doesn't have everything that.
Yeah.
So like I had to, and just to be transparent, I had to, which I use my personal email. I set up a password, which I'll let you guys know what it is. I think I can only be accessed from my email though. That's where it is, which I'd asked, I had requested originally, I wanted them all sent here. That seemed to be a bigger issue the first time I'd requested because they didn't want to release the records. So I said, that's fine. I didn't want to use the Dropbox method, send it with this link and that's what it is.
Yeah, and I guess I'd like to understand too, if who was requesting some of these things that, you know, if it was an actual board member or was it somebody outside the board that was asking?
And I had told him, in late June when he called me, and I think he thinks that, I said, I've never, and I did say this, we're trying to get this paid, but we're not gonna pay. And he's like, well, the other boards have paid stuff, they didn't question it. And I said, that's not us. We came in the middle of this is what we're doing. But I said, I know for a fact, there are people that are not on the board that have been making calls to you or forward you information. Like, we don't know, are we being invoiced for that? Because they're not able to do that. So that's where we're at as a board. And I said, we all agree on that. And he was like, well, if you just do this, I'll give you this information. And I didn't want to do that. I said, we all have agreed. We've talked about this and this is what we need to move forward and to get these invoices paid.
Well, it sounds like you're going in the right direction, the spreadsheet, and then we can lay it down next to the timeline of when they were authorized and what they were
Well,
authorized.
and that's what I wanna do is take, match up all the backup that he sent with it, and then, we can each have it. If you need to highlight something, or we have any questions on it, or if that's all right, then we can collaborate over that and go back to them if there's further
Sounds great.
information when we were reconciling.
Just gonna take a little bit of.
He offered to do all of this for us, Mr. Landy did. I said that wasn't necessary. If you're gonna send us the records, and like, I'm familiar with background in forensic accounting, you guys are too, like, we've got this. And that kind of defeats us.
I'm sure he would charge us.
Obviously.
So.
Yeah.
Let's not incur anymore.
But I will say, so I will have some of this with me. I will be gone like the 12th through like 23rd. Traveling, but I'll have this and I can work on some of this there so we can get it done. And get that in.
So.
Social divided.
Yeah. Motion to consider discussion on this at a later time.
Second.
Ms. Lee?
Hi.
Aye.
Sounds good. On to item number 6, administrative. Discussion and consideration to approve the upgrade of managed IT services contract. with Jared IT. Nobody here for that?
Yeah, I can answer any questions you have, like you did. Summary.
Okay, so basically contract for 72 hours a year.
And we have a bucket of hours, that buy in advance, yeah, but then we're building an hourly rate after that. The bulk of the increase that you're seeing in there is because we're switching to Microsoft Basic and Standard Premium. Because Basic and Standard are not secure.
Yeah,
We wanted to switch to a Microsoft Government. Our contract with Microsoft runs through March of 25. So if we were to switch to government now, we'd still be paying monthly fees on Basic and Standard until they expire in 25.
okay,
The next best option would be to switch to Premium, which is more secure. And then in March of 25, switch to government, like we should be on.
okay, so they would do a 9-month and then upgrade.
Yeah, because as long as we stay on Basic, Standard, or Premium, that's covered under the current contract. Government is apparently under a separate contract.
And is all their work remote all the time, or they come?
No, they're on site quite a bit.
Okay,
I think we get 6 hours a month. I think that they're actually here is typically
what kind of work do they only been doing?
okay. They were at the water plant, the water treatment plant quite a bit, doing stuff over there. They do all kinds of stuff, anything from just fixing minor bugs or,
Okay,
um,
are they primarily software, or they do it hardware too?
yeah, they do everything. So they'll upgrade, they've upgraded, hard drives before, they take care of all our servers, all our backups, everything, and we're required by law to, back up certain information. They take care of all that stuff.
But do they keep their, for the city in the cloud too?
Yep. Yep, and they manage the police department stuff and the utility stuff and the city stuff and the community center stuff.
They're using?
That I'm not sure about. When I started a year and a half ago, we were with them. I think it was not a real long time, within probably a 2 or 3 year period prior to that, maybe they switched over to them. Yeah, we looked at, and the reason Nevada and I have been looking at costs for everything, trying to lower costs. In this case, it's, going up, but with good reason.
Yeah.
But, the Iowa League of Cities endorses BC3 and recommends them. We did get pricing from them. It was considerably more, and that's all offsite. So you're paying a very steep charge to have somebody on site if you need them on site with them, and it was almost $1,000 more. We did look into a third option, which is a company called Hub that a lot of municipalities also use out of Des Moines. They came in a rough estimate of $3,400. If we wanted an exact price, we had to pay $2,500 to have them do a system analysis. At that point, they were you know, we didn't think it was worthwhile to pay the $2,500 for that, since we're happy basically with what we have. You know, they're considerably less
One
money.
of the 32 PCs between the whole city. And so
Yeah, that's.
okay.
And Shared IT, they've been around a lot of time. And they've got a
Yeah.
good reputation.
They do a lot of financial institutions. They've got 2 or 3 other cities that they do, but primarily, and they're based out of Princeton, Iowa.
Okay.
And it's mostly, financial institutions that they do.
And what's the price jump gonna be from premium to,
And I'd have to look into the paperwork there, but it's on the big breakdown. And I'm not sure exactly how many units we were on that were basic or standard,
yeah,
but basically everything has to go
Yeah.
to, you know, the other. So if we were,
It's a monthly basis of 2,500
yeah,
for the year.
yeah,
Kind of utility board.
I mean, I think it's something necessary that needs to be done. Obviously, we've made quite a bit of changes.
Yeah.
Upgrades and
And
security type.
The security part of it.
Yeah.
it's been working for you, right? It's-
Yes.
Yeah.
No issues.
And this will also add, like fishing, training and stuff for all of the staff monthly, I think it is.
yeah.
So they'll each get little like, exercises in their email to kind of be able to spot those,
They're hard to
those
tap.
cameras. Yeah.
I get them as well, yeah.
But, I mean, that's not something we've had before, and I think it's something especially,
good.
I will help when we get that.
Like say, like having you invest in case you email.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, Mr. Brisley, we're going from 674 for the basic to 1475 for the premium. So that's where the bulk of the expense is.
Yeah.
And it'll be roughly in today's dollars, switching to government would have been about $100 more if we were able to. go government. So we'll see a little bit of a bump next March probably too, but nothing close to what we've got here today.
Okay, yeah, no, that's,
Okay, needs to be done.
yep.
Yeah, it does.
Take the internet away and did the council vote on the second bid?
Yes,
Okay. They're happy with it?
yes.
Okay. So, we have a motion to approve the upgrade to manage IT services contract.
Motion.
Second,
I'll second.
second by Peterson. Voice vote.
Aye.
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 Motion passes. All right, on to 6B, consideration of resolution 2024-10, television water approving final acceptance of public improvement for Rolling Wall Road Second Edition. What is this all? What do we need to prove here?
I can talk to you about that then too. Each time a subdivision is complete, the public improvements need to be accepted by the city and then we take ownership of those. So that include, you know, the streets, the sewer system, storm sewer, and sanitary sewers, and then water and electric, in this case. We installed, Colin and his guys installed the electric there, so that was all installed by us. The water was installed by a subcontractor. That was all inspected by city staff and.
This is all I'm thinking.
Yeah, so Lincoln. But you'll see one of these for every subdivision, that comes up. But it has been inspected and approved by city staff and city engineers.
You did receive the revised drawings, like you were waiting on, like towards the end of June.
Yeah, so I think they're still probably gonna change the water main at some point, but that expense is on them and that'll have to be inspected again before we. Move forward with it, but
You know, the big section on Lincoln Road there, would he be up making that a wider sidewalk, you know, and the contention point along Lincoln?
he's installing a 5-foot sidewalk.
Yeah.
That's what originally was improved by planning and zoning, in all plats, so at this point, yeah, that's what the city has approved and he's agreed to do,
So
so.
not Couldn't change it, make it.
He asked from it.
It is, okay, yeah, and I'm not sure, at that point, it'd be a question of who's gonna pay for it, it'd be us,
But
but,
all discussion about
Right.
the other bike path, we don't think it.
yeah.
Might as well start now instead of trying to.
Right, and he's for the first edition, I don't think he's for much of the second edition at all.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be a huge deal to do something at this point, but again, I don't know if that goes back to planning and zoning then, or we just have a conversation.
Like down the road, that the city's going. It's gonna be the next.
Mhm.
all the-
Probably need to get city council involved then, have discussion on what
I
they
mean,
mean.
you got the corner street too, Ryan, is that side work better for the bike path than the north side of Lincoln?
I think there probably would, it's just getting it back across to the east.
Yeah,
Yeah, we need one somewhere.
So if we did the electric, are we completely recouped on the costs of the labor, wire, transformers?
That was all built out.
Yeah.
A while back.
Yeah, and that's all been paid for at this point.
There's
Um,
no open,
No, any changes that
Any
go,
changes like in that inner we'll have to.
yeah, they'll receive another bill for some changes. There's been some debate about, Dale's trying to decide whether we've been from townhouses to eightplex condos to
yeah.
one-story condos.
Mark is changing.
So, and it's, yeah, and so we've been back and forth. I don't think anything's finalized yet. It's,
And one thing I've been asking other electricians about, in addition, I know not already there, but electric cars are coming, whether they like it or not or something. Is the stuff we're putting in now is gonna handle, say if everybody came home and we start drawing 50 amps? This is just a question. I don't,
Once we get to that point, that there may. The size of the transformers themselves will be greater.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering.
Your standard of every home now is, obviously, we still went off of, we just put in a 200 amp panel, and
Yeah.
everything, so.
Maybe I just got 200 amp in my new house and then I
Yeah.
put a 50 amp in per car.
so at some point, I'd like to expand on that a little bit, because we got this subdivision and other subdivisions coming, and
Mhm.
what is our capacity, currently, and what do we, those lines were put in well before, the growth of the community, and so, we just wanna make sure we're not gonna shoot ourselves in the foot at some point and stretch ourselves. I mean, water, sewer, and electric, is definitely on my list.
Somewhere, yeah.
Yeah,
and right now they're being constructed to the building code that's been adopted by the city. So if you want to make changes in that area, different building codes are gonna have to be adopted.
Right, I just didn't know.
yeah, but stretch the water treatment plant, can house so many
Right.
gallons per day, and if we continue to build subdivisions, then at some point,
Yeah,
we're not gonna be large enough.
expansions will be required.
Yeah.
Lots of
We'll actually be
areas.
talking about that in just a few minutes.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
I think we're on the coast a little bit, aren't we?
Yep.
And for water, yeah.
But we have a motion to approve the,
Just one more thing, is there any open punch lists?
No, that's all been closed, and we do, city staff, takes care of that before you guys see it. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll never be in front of you until that's been resolved.
Okay, good.
we have a motion to accept the, Roman second edition.
Motion.
There's been motion, second
Second,
by Grizzly, roll call.
Aye.
right.
All ayes, nays. Passes.
Would you like us to sign this now, or do you have a different, you can sign the bunch?
Okay, 6C, discussion about adding a postage handling fee to the utility postcard. Something we can do, just the postcard side, software annually.
I don't know if we have a definitive answer on that yet. I could look into it before
Okay.
that next meeting, but I mean, I believe many municipalities will add admin fees to
Yeah.
cover that cost.
And a lot of people I've spoke to in my campaign, switched over,
Yeah,
they just want their postcard. And I'm like, well, there might be a fee imposed at some point, that's fine, we'll pay $5 to scare them.
okay.
Well, I guess one thing,
Did you give me that?
The postcard just going
Burn that I wasn't aware of.
I know when I paid for postage for that.
Yeah, it is like. Postal
Okay.
stamps went up again.
So was there like a glitch in the system? Like I got 3 emails about my,
I got two.
So too, yes, but I didn't know. So yeah, I wasn't sure that I sent the email billing, so I did send it a second. Yeah, that was me.
Okay.
okay, what I messed up on. They both match.
But I just want to read the public comments here, we consider doing that. And be that trying to recoup here, and it's free if you just sign up for email. So,
And then another suggestion that I have, and I guess this would probably apply to me, I get postcards in the mail, but if anybody's set up on auto pay, like myself, I don't really care if I get a postcard or not. So if we maybe put a deadline in for anybody that's on auto pay, we can keep you on the postcard list by request. But if not, then let's set a date that everything goes to electronic.
yeah, we legally can do that.
Really, okay, I don't know. I mean, some people want the postcard, that's fine.
Yeah.
But it's.
I've heard people don't like postcards, so you can see how much we're spending, you know, it falls out of the mailbox, and so other people don't want to go sorting through the email to find it either, so.
Sure, I get it, but again, I get the postcards and it's,
Mhm.
But I think that's almost something, if we do go that route and that's something we can do, like. It's gonna have to either be sent in a letter. I don't even know how many people look at all that, or like it's gotta be something everybody's actually gonna look at.
sure.
Because we can't count that everybody has social media or gets North Scott Press,
But it comes on. the
or that's gonna look at
Right,
their,
put something there, right?
but how many people really read their postcards? I mean,
Total. I'm gonna be honest with you.
How many you get?
Oh, we get.
No, it's-
Yeah, so, yeah. I am the guilty one.
Yeah, I get them, but I don't look at them.
Yes.
It's like River Valley, I get the invoices, and it's like, just send me an email. and I'll pay.
All right. On to item 7, electric department updates.
So no outages to report for the past few weeks, which is good. We are wrapping up our IUB underground inspection for this year's 2024. So, every year we are required by IUB, we are set up, we do a 6-year rotation. So every 6 years, we do a certain section of our town, both overhead and underground. Go through ourselves, and it's a visual inspection, so we write down and keep track of any deficient things that we find and make those corrections ourselves. It's more for us, it helps with obviously regular maintenance, any changes that need to be made as far as things that need to be fixed, and scheduling outages ahead of time to get those fixed instead of waking up in the middle of the night to phone calls and stuff, so.
Is there any more plans to put any more sections of town underground?
Right now, we haven't, obviously, everything new is underground. We maintain the existing overhead,
I was looking like, you know.
right,
Fifth Street.
yeah, obviously, everything,
Yeah,
this side of town is all rear lot overhead.
Yeah.
We maintain that and change out poles there, so as needed, we have been the last, as long as I've been here.
Yeah.
It's, to go that route, just as far as I know, it is very expensive. The cost of underground cable is very expensive.
Reed came through it all.
Yeah.
Oak Street, except, it's all.
Yep,
Nice, so.
yes, yep,
I didn't have those animal plans, they're just talk about it for.
right. And if we ever went down that road, just in my personal opinion, which just right now, it would be a lot nicer if everything, like for us, that maybe things could go out front. And we're not having to go in people's backyards.
Right. Yeah, just.
Yeah.
I was talking about it before we got here, but we went through,
In a long future term, obviously, but yeah,
one of the things that, I don't know if you were here, but when I went to last, came back, went through Spokane, and the utility boxes there are all decorated like nature. They're all, I don't know if they're wrapped or they come that way. I don't know if you've ever seen anything like that, but they blend in with the environment really nice. They do flowers or grasses, and they were all, you couldn't notice them as much as, like Stark Green, which everybody tries to hide anyway. So I didn't know if we ever looked in those to see what, just something we saw when we were starting to do it.
Oh, okay.
So I'm just something FYI, well,
Do you have a priority list of the underground cable, for the age and where we're most vulnerable within the city?
So, I do need to look, the cable for the manufacturer, it is good for so many years until it, technically they say, yes, you need to think about replacing it, so. Everything that was replaced back in the day, a long time ago, it used to be the open concentric cable, so everything was replaced way before my time with the jacketed
Yeah.
concentric cable.
Yes.
That we still use, so. Yes, but there is, to my knowledge, there is a timestamp on that. It's good for years. I do need to.
Yeah. Okay, that's what I was just, because it's, some, XLP cable, maybe 35, 40 years.
Right.
And that's, so if we have a list of priorities, so in the future, we can maybe focus on areas that are most vulnerable.
but what about staffing?
We still have the journeyman position open.
Okay.
So. That's,
One of the apprentices, we did get the application sent in for him to start the apprenticeship program. So, and then the other one will be able to start once we do hire on a journeyman. We did interview 2 of the journeymen that applied. And based on those, we decided to leave it open a little bit more and do some targeted
Yep.
recruitment efforts.
otherwise, we're still, been putting in some new services, obviously in the new subdivisions that are still equipping, they're slapping up houses left and right. And then, starting Thursday, I believe, for my last phone call, a company called MyTech, they have a guy come and it's a pole inspector. He's gonna do a certain number of poles for us, based off of this year's pole plan inspection.
Okay,
And he will, red tag the ones that do need to be replaced, so.
okay.
And as far as tree trimming, is that something that's ongoing constantly, or do you have, time periods when you target areas and bring them in at certain times?
So last winter, we had Advantage Tree Service come in, they did our entire system, so that is part of our tree trimming, plan. We do a visual inspection, before they come in and do that, and so we visualize any target areas need to be hit pretty hard. And then they come in and they take care of that stuff for us and lay everything back on the lines and stuff like that, so.
Okay, I see one's getting close, 1850 South First Street.
Okay.
The farmhouse there, the pine tree, it's between the live and the neutral, so it's kind of grown, it's gonna get there.
Sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
they'll do them, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, on the water department. Water test results.
So the June test results are in your packet. They did the 8 random site sampling, and then the random site sampling for the fluoride as well. Everything came back and passed normal levels for those daily tests.
Good. All right, and item B, I believe we have a guest speaker tonight for the water rehab.
Yeah, so Lenny Larson with ISG, water wastewater engineer for ISG. I help lead our water wastewater group. We've been working with the utility company, our Eldridge Municipal Utilities for the past year, and then specifically for this water tower rehab project. Wanted to come give an update since it's a lot of new faces since the last time I was here. And the big thing is we were tracking to try and get it done this year. But what happened is they wanted us to do some due diligence on funding. Unfortunately, we looked into funding, we looked into the different avenues for there through the state department, through local areas, with a water tower and just rehab, they consider that maintenance. So they don't typically fund that unless you're doing more. So we are doing a little bit more to the tower. There's some hatches being replaced, a vent being replaced, the safety climbing mechanisms in the ladder system going up to the tower are getting replaced. However, that's such a small percentage of the overall project. It's a very small cost, less than 5% of the total project cost to get that done. So, that's the only portion they would fund. If it was greater than 50%, then they would fund the whole project. With it being less than 50%, they're saying, no, you can't do that. That's considered maintenance. Unfortunately, you have to budget for that is, the feedback I got, which is what I anticipated, but we figured if you don't ask the question, you'll never know. So we did go down that route. The cost of the project, just to make you all aware, is between $750,000 to $800,000 to rehab that tower. And due to that tower, or when I got done with doing the due diligence on the funding, unfortunately, that's kind of when staff turnover took place and some of the utility board turnover took place, so it got put on hold. And now we're far enough into the year where if we start the project, we have to start in early August, which is going to be nearly impossible now because we have to get Verizon to take down their antennas and build a temporary tower next to it for their antennas. Getting them in by August to get that done is going to be hard. And then it's 13 weeks to get that tower reconditioning completed. And so we'd be looking at end of October, and you don't really want to do painting when you're getting to late October, November, unless weather is just, I don't want to count on having another year like last year where it was relatively warm throughout winter time. So because of that reason, we're planning on doing it next year. The other thing that we are currently working on and wrapping up, and I should have for the August utility board meeting is a determination on if we have to do anything temporarily with that tower out of service, making sure that the system can still function as needed on a temporary basis while that tower is down. So we met with city staff and Nevada a month ago, I think, to talk through some of the questions we had on that and got most of those questions answered and have been working on getting that analyzed and whether or not something temporarily does need to be done. I don't believe anything will need to be done, but they haven't fully gotten that evaluation complete. So once I have that, I'll get that over to Nevada and the city staff, or the utility staff, just to make sure that you have that. And if something does need to be done, we'll make sure that we have kind of a recommendation of what direction to go and what the costs have to be. But at this time, based on what we know of the system and the training that we came provided last summer, we don't believe just off the cuff that it would be needed.
So how many months would that be out of service then?
13 weeks, so about 3 months.
Okay.
That would be what's being planned to be done is taking off all the paint, interior and exterior, and repainting the tower. So one of the other items I did want to bring up, and we don't have to have that decided tonight by any means, but logo and color of the tower. Originally, it was planned on just doing this similar white tower, getting away from the cursive Eldridge writing and going with more of a block or a.
Do we need a name? Everybody knows it's Eldridge.
Yes, I would,
Is there an opportunity to sell sponsorship for advertising?
Potentially, I don't know.
I think we need to have the Eldridge name on it. I mean, most other towns do. I mean,
Or at least-
Princeton, they have like the Princeton like tree and river behind it, you know.
Some will do.
Or the logo?
So stick with whatever the city is using now. So it's
It's also
Something
nice,
that's
visual, so
recognizable.
that if you have a low flying plane, people can see and identify when they're doing non-IFR flights.
That's nice. Now you're talking about old days when I learned to fly before we had GPS. Take a low pass by the water.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and then color, some communities will do like a darker color, on the bottom of the bowl. That'll help hide some of that mildew and everything that grows on the exterior.
It's pretty dirty underneath it again.
That can help hide that a little bit. It's still gonna be there. It just helps hide it a little bit. And then if you're doing a whole tower color, if it's not white, stay away from black, yellow, red, things that will fade really easily. And black will just make that temporarily hot in the summertime.
Oh, yeah.
Just piggybacking on the painting, I know that some communities do like community involvement to do designs for their water towers. I think that's the team kind of doing that kind of thing. I had just kind of thought to myself, I think talking about what it is, possibly doing a community involvement thing for a design for the water tower.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of guys my age and older that used to talk about how with the Strawberry Fest, the schools used to do designs for the next year's Strawberry Fest t-shirt.
Yeah.
And a lot of people love that because kids design it.
Right.
The kids go crazy because their design got fixed, so it's kind of.
Good way to bring the community in with it.
This is a very kind community, and it's a hub for the communities around us. So I kind of thought that community involvement for the design was kind of fun.
That would be needed to decide before you start to.
No, that's something that can be done, before we,
Oh,
which we wouldn't plan on bidding. There's no sense of rushing the bid, so
okay.
if we probably want to bid in November, or before the holidays or right after the holidays, I'd say at the end of the year. Sometime in that time frame would be a good time to bid the project.
Is there some price breakdown for doing the design and the lettering and colors and stuff like that are more expensive? Like when you order a car, there's premium colors and things like, you know what I mean?
I'd have to get that back.
Okay.
Usually it's not a huge, you're doing a logo anyway, so the cost difference for it is usually pretty slow, or not a whole lot, but for example, the last last tower that I did, that got done actually in the middle of the winter, but got put in the middle of the winter was Jamaica, Iowa, and they did like palm trees and some green, and there was, just to kind of go with the festive of Jamaica and the Caribbean, but it's not very Caribbean like that.
How old is it?
That was the last time it was recoated or painted that I know of is 2001. So usually it's 20 to 30 years lifetime for a paint on it, so.
Is there any opportunity to break out this work into sections over, say, a couple of years?
For reconditioning the tower rehab, I wouldn't recommend doing that. I'd pay for them to come in and do that all at once, just because you're paying a lot of the money that you're paying is to get them mobilized to site.
Yeah.
And especially the exterior, they're gonna have to put a curtain around it, so you're not, so when they're painting or when they're sandblasting painting, they don't wanna paint the cars or dog that's in the
Like, I just wanted to have more Kimberly and they painted all the cars with Kimberly.
Yeah, so we require to have that bonnet over top as
We're
well.
not doing that. Yeah.
Yep, okay.
But you would pay substantially more just because you'd be paying them to remobilize to the site on
Sure.
multiple occasions.
Yeah.
And taking the tower out of service once is easier than doing it multiple times.
Yeah, I didn't know if there was any opportunity for the exterior and the interior and.
You could look at doing that, but it's something that I would just recommend.
Doing all at once.
Is earlier in the year better, get a late summer because of the, if it gets dry, to water, using more water, city.
We're gonna try and target to get it bid so they can get started before peak is being used. Yes, so that's something we are paying attention to. And then if it does happen where they do get into that peak water usage, we can always work with the city and put together some flyers that you could send out or some social media blasts that you can put out, trying to advocate for water conservation during that time. Which is pretty common in that situation.
Any more questions?
I don't have anything.
Okay.
Appreciate your time. Thank you. That in the timeline, I believe, right? So. They're gonna put together a better timeline.
Yeah, so when we get all the Verizon stuff figured out, I'm still waiting on a little bit of information from the city's SCADA vendor to get over to them, because we're gonna put the city SCADA system on that temporary tower also. They're gonna do that.
Okay.
So waiting for that, to get that information so I can get it over to them. Once we get that done, I'll have kind of a timeline of when we're planning on bidding and then when work anticipated, when work schedule will take place.
Perfect.
Thanks for the update.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. On item C, discussion and consideration to approve proposal from ISG Inc. for water sewer and full hydraulic analysis.
That is also me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so, after working with the city for the last year, and, like I said, last year we came and did some training with a lot of the utility staff there. Just noticed, with the city, some of the issues that are commonly occurring. One being, you've already brought it up, capacity. Another one that was taking place was water hammer within the distribution system. Water turnover, eastern side of town gets used less than the western side of town, so water age tends to be a little older over there. And then, what occurs is you get nitrification, which is creating a nitrate or a nitrite. And once those hit a certain level, they have to go out and flush hydrants, and waste a bunch of water that is just done. The other aspect is you have a unique treatment system, where you have essentially 3 different treatment trains that all do a little bit different treatment, and you're trying to blend at the end for a consistent water quality going out to the customers. That also can create issues on, are you getting the right blend? It can also create issues on your disinfecting, and then are you creating nitrification again in the distribution system? And also with 3 treatment trains, as you start to grow, it gets more and more complicated to get that blend just right. So, and then the other item is storage, making sure as you continue to grow, when you may need to do something with add another tower, GSR, our ground storage reservoir, apologize for that abbreviation. And then, your wells are actually pretty old. They were installed, I want to say in the 70s and before. I can't remember off the top of my head. We did look that up. I just can't recall off the top of my head, but looking at that and making sure you have enough source water also as you continue to grow. And also if a well went down, that you're not in trouble where you're running out of water at that time too, to make sure you have full redundancy on your well system. And then, as you continue to grow, what we would do is we'd come in, also offer some training and try and get the system running as smoothly as you can now and set up some operational control. Being a younger staff that you have here, that's something that we think would be valuable as part of this PERS coming or helping out develop some, and fine tune some of the operational procedures to make sure as you're continuing to operate until improvements are made, you're able to make the best decisions, and be a little more proactive, and then instead of having to be reactive. So if you're able to set up some procedures, you're able to monitor your system a little better and understand if this changes, okay, I need to start making this change to make sure my water quality going out to the customers is still in good shape, and I'm not having to go out and flush hydrants. I'm not having to send out notices to customers, things you want to avoid. And then you have the beauty of continuing to grow. So just being able to plan for that. And then the other aspect of that is a separate PER. So as part of that original PER, for the entire water system, we would work with city staff and kind of talk through the distribution system. Where are they having issues? Where are you having a lot of water main breaks? What's the age of the infrastructure in this location? And start kind of putting together a priority list. But with your city growing and some of the water handler issues that you've seen, understanding how the water moves throughout the system, we would highly recommend doing a water model. What that would do is we would be able to take your GIS system that you currently have built for your water system, import that into a GIS-based system, and then we would be looking at different water usage throughout the town. Where are you planning on expanding? What developments are going in? You have an industrial client or an industrial or commercial business that wants to come to town. How much water are they going to use? You're able to kind of plan and project as you're growing outward, and understanding, okay, what's my water main system going out there looking like? And am I going to have to make any improvements upstream before we can add on those users? Look at it from that standpoint. And then also help identify areas where you may start running into low pressure if you continue to add on like you are. It will also help us be able to figure out a way to better get water circulation on that eastern side of town. If you get a larger industrial or commercial business out there, that may solve the issue naturally because they'll use more water, but currently there's just a lot less water used out there. So water doesn't seem to move through that area as quickly. So the water age does get older, and then we're able to project water age, and how it circulates through the system. Through all that, we plan on, like I said, working with the staff, coming in and doing training, and then also understanding, doing walkthroughs. And then, we're going to build recommendations of improvements. But we also want to work with the board and the staff to be able to understand, okay, what's important to you? What's your priority? And then build like a 5 to 10 year capital improvement plan. So you're not having to do this all on one big swoop. You're able to do that and then also maximize on funding, because another big piece of these reports is trying to maximize on funding available out there, because there are grants available for water systems. they are competitive, so they are hard to come by. But with having some of the issues that you have in town, that is going to score a little better. Not saying that's something you necessarily want, but that's just the nature of the grant programs. And then loans. Of course, there's loans out there that we can help work with the board and the city to be able to set to pay these projects back. And then also understand as you continue to grow, at what point do you need to start thinking of expanding your water plant? At what point do you need to add another well? At what point do you need to add a water tower? At what point would you need to start looking at doing some older water main improvements to increase size or do some additional water main looping to be able to provide water to newer areas of town? So that's what the report would encapsulate and kind of throw in there, and then we'd be able to work with you to kind of prioritize that list to better understand what you want to do in the future.
So that's outside the. And
That's outside the.
yeah, and so I definitely love what I'm hearing. That's something I think we're all concerned about is capacity and at some point and putting us in a position where as businesses or, you know, more subdivisions continue to develop that we hit exactly, okay, this is what it's gonna take and you know, obviously it's gotta get paid for. So, that's, I like hearing that.
There's like good information everybody would like to have.
So, the proposal in front of you is to be able to allow us to work with the city on the utility board on that and the utility and, to do just the water perk, which is just evaluating the entire water system. And that still includes doing the funding, doing the training, putting together the capital improvement plan. And it just doesn't include the model, doing a hydraulic model of the distribution system. That would be for $70,000. And then to do the water model on top of that, it would be for an additional $35,000, to be able to put that together.
So I guess that was 115 here.
It would be if you did both.
Oh,
So,
okay.
so we have it set up where you could, if you didn't want to do both, you could do one and then.
Okay.
Then I guess the other aspect, if you did want, there's a program out there if you needed assistance with paying or you wanted to fund this through another program, a loan or the study, and then you could tack on when you got to that point where you'd have if you move forward with the project afterwards, let's say design and planning for that. It would be a planning and design loan through the DSRF State Revolving Fund. That's through the state. And that would be a 0% interest loan for up to 3 years. And then if you get through 3 years and you need a little more time, you can extend it this another 3 years. And then at the end of that, either the city would have to pay back that money at that time, but there would be no interest accrued on it. Or you could roll it into a future project if you're planning on moving forward with the future project.
And with that being through the state, is that something that you guys handle the paperwork on, or do we have to find somebody else?
No, we would handle it. And it would be included as part of that fee. That wouldn't be something that we would charge extra for. It's a pretty simple application to put together.
From the sounds of the 115, I just want to make sure on that includes everything like looking forward.
Looking
Everything
past
you
present
said,
and future,
yes.
so.
Okay.
As much information as we can get, we'll take and go from there, so.
In the interim, if something were to happen, we do have the availability to tap into Iowa American Water.
Do not.
We do not.
We don't have any redundancy right now. That was one thing we
Sure.
asked about, when I reached out to Lenny, Keegan and Bryson to talk about doing one of these studies. One of the concerns that we have is that we don't currently have a redundancy plan and you just don't know. So that was something that I wanted them to look at as part of this study to determine what those options are, because we need to have something.
Just in the event that something were catastrophic, we should go wrong, that we can provide.
Yeah, that was something glad you brought that up, but that is something that we were planning on looking into with either Iowa American Water or any other neighborhoods.
Like the cap.
I don't.
That's,
Supplies out to
Yesterday.
And then Sarah Crest, Silver County, they do the northwest, Davenport Northwest.
Yeah, sure. If you wanted to share, become partners, they're not too far away.
So actually, Jeff and I met with Iowa American Water regarding some development that, we get a lot of inquiries for that area, just coming across Silvertown into, our city limits. And as part of that, we did talk a little bit about the engineering study and, working with them, providing information to our engineers through that study so we could see what a partnership would look like, if we would decide to use that option for like an interconnector.
The new crack line is on Iowa American too.
Yes, yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And we know Iowa American Water pretty well, so that wouldn't be an issue at all. So
Okay.
in fact, we've provided some training.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve a proposal from INC?
Well, so the proposal, is it for 70 or 45 or both?
Well,
I think that both go hand in hand, in my opinion.
Yeah, I just wanna, in which direction are we gonna take? How's it gonna get paid for? We're gonna go
Well,
through
we
this,
need
we're gonna go
to-
through this
There is a-
state loan program or?
The 3 year zero interest.
We can look into that. There is budget, so if we don't get a loan or a grant, we can pay for it out of the budget. I think a 0% and spreading it out over a couple fiscal years is not a bad idea either, but we've got the money to be able to pay for the engineering if we are unable or if there's not a desire from the board to look at that loan.
Sure, and I just, I like the 0%, and that's free money. This would,
The city uses SRF loans for a couple of the projects that we've done, so they've been excellent. It's a good resource.
And it's something where if you decide to pay off early or if you don't use everything that you request. I always recommend requesting a little extra since something pops up. Because you don't get a penalty for not using what you requested or paying it off.
There's no prepayment penalty.
I definitely think it's needed. I mean,
I
that's,
think both aspects of it, the 115,
Just to be on the safe side.
is that what you're?
yeah, I like what I'm hearing and we'll get an idea of, like we discussed with the electric, the same with the water. If we have vulnerable areas we can focus on and again, with the growth of the community, I definitely don't want to get caught behind. So moved.
Motion by Firstly,
1 second.
voice vote. Ayes.
Aye.
Nays. Motion passes.
And then, one thing I just want, if you do decide to go with the P and D loan, that application isn't due till, October 1st. So, if we would get started before that point, and then you'll apply October 1st, or it would be shortly there before. It would be about a month and a half to go through some proceedings, to do the loan closeout and everything, and sign the agreement, with state revolving fund, and then the money would become available. So if that's the case, I can work with that, go through, if we start work before that, we can always wait, invoice until that point. Until you have that money.
Be helpful.
5 to 8, back to, I see Verizon back on the table again. They came with a new proposal again.
Yes, well, so we talked to Verizon and after looking at the lease payments that we have with the other carriers on the other towers, we went back to them to discuss what another proposal would be because they were currently, paying the highest by quite a bit. And what they were offering at the last proposal that we had would have put them at the lowest and we don't really want them to be there either. What their initial proposal was to drop the lease payments to $1,100 a month. And that would put them somewhere in the middle. So we went back to Nicholas. He had set up a meeting with us to get an update and I asked him if they would be willing to go back to the $1,100 for our proposal, but not to start that until 2027, so we finish out our current lease agreement with the payments we're getting. But then, would consider a proposal to bring in front of the board for 1,100 a month, which would put them in the middle, right around the range of where the other two agreements that we have are with the other carriers. And they did agree to that proposal, to go in front of the board for consideration. So it would be 1,100 per month, starting on 11/1 of 2027. So finishing out this contract, 10% escalator every 5 years, with the next increase incurring in 2032 after, and starting 2027. So based on what we're currently getting for other lease payments, this is it is a reduction from what we're currently paying, but it is in line with what the other service carriers are paying.
AT&T and US Cellular, so it looks like that's a shared resource on the Iowa Avenue. And Verizon has sole. So it's sole antennas on the other.
Near the tower, right?
Then
Yeah.
who have, well, I guess that would be a co-op thing. Because T-Mobile has a tower on there, because I know Verizon buys space on them on that tower too.
And I don't think we have anything with T-Mobile unless they're part of.
And then they
or
just
they're
buy
another carrier.
US Cellular.
We have US Cellular on our other tower.
They're currently at 17 something a month. 17.49.
Yep, 1749 a month, which half of that goes to, for utility and half of that goes into city.
But that'd be the same for the 1100, right? So
Yep, so, yeah,
we're still rolling backwards.
550, which would put them around the same as the US Cellular and the AT&T.
I was gonna tell you, if you have any second opinion on, we look at those all the time.
That's what I suggested on the last time this came up is what's this space really worth?
Like, I don't know all the
Yeah,
details.
it just seems like it's still a little light. 1100, I mean, he's kind of been all over the place. 900, then 750, now back to 11, and we're not in a rush.
We don't mind.
I still think it's a little light. And then we also have to consider the cost of the temporary. I think we were talking about the city was gonna share some, because of the water tower work that's gonna go on, there's gonna need to be a temporary structure for their equipment, I guess, at that point, and ours, and who's paying for that?
They are.
Verizon has to furnish a temp tower.
Yeah. So with the agreement, those are some of the things we want to look for to protect the city is if they do any improvements. Make sure they have to go through the city work. We've seen cities where they get burnt and they have antennas on top of their towers or whatever infrastructure that is. And sometimes when they go in and do that, those improvements, when they're doing the welding, they damage and it will cost early or early deterioration. If they're catastrophic, but
That was worked out as part of the reconditioning.
Also that, and then any new release with Verizon would reflect that. Making sure we're covered with no liability for.
For that product, this
Yeah,
would
for
be,
moving the antenna, I guess, or any work that, if it's gonna be close to the tower. You just don't wanna put us in a bad spot.
yeah, that's their liability unless there wasn't something gross or something that was vandalized or anything. That the, their responsibility. And working with the city, we're giving them a little area on the southwest corner of the site to be able to build that.
So the evaluation of the space, is that maybe a bonus to be thrown in with this?
Is this the one that we had looked at? Or is this?
this is a different one. So US Cellular just had our site review done so they could do some modifications and upgrades to their cellular site on the other tower. This one, has just been an ongoing proposal, and actually AT&T just reached out to us today too, so.
Oh, good. So we got a little competition there.
Yeah.
Nice. So what I'm asking is if we've okayed you to do this study here.
Yeah.
Is that something that can just be included?
Yeah, and a lot of times any fees associated with the reviews, they get passed right through to the utility company, the private carrier.
Sure.
So, but for something like this, yeah. Yeah, sure.
I think that's worthwhile. Let
Let's just
them,
wait on it then.
yeah,
All right, well,
motion to table.
motion to table item 8D on the motion by Chrissy,
Motion.
second by Tyler. Voice vote.
Aye.
Nays. Motion tabled. All right, 8E, consideration to approve proposal from Kapoi Pump Service to inspect well number 2 at a cost of $5,760.
So this is a proposal just to pull well two for inspection. It's due, it's the next in rotation. It's the very low performing well. I don't even know, in the event that it goes down, that it can even be rehabbed at this point. It'd be difficult.
It's our oldest well. I think it's from like 1952 or something like that.
Where's this one at?
It's right here on Third Street, this one right down here.
Oh.
The house right across from the old bank.
Oh,
Yeah, that, when I first started here in 2019, it was doing about like 240 gallons a minute. Last talked to Bryson, it's doing 180 gallons a minute. So it's definitely deteriorating.
it's the pump itself, not the source of water. It's the pump.
I don't think it's the source of water. I think it's just the pump.
Oh,
So,
okay. That one pulled out in a while.
no, so that would have been the oldest one in rotation, because I think we pulled that one right when I started. So this is probably 6 years now, 5 years now since it's been pulled. Yeah.
So part of this process is rehabbing it,
It's better.
They'll pull and inspect it to see what can.
and then at what stage, because what you guys are saying, like, this is in bad shape, basically. Or does that come into a little bit of what you're doing? That when do we replace this? That's-
With the pump itself, that's something when the pump or well contractor comes in and pulls it, they give you a recommendation. If it needs replaced, or they may have to rebuild.
Yeah.
Pretty well.
How does this price align with others who've done?
It's right. This is about what it costs for anytime we pull and inspect.
Here for this pump that would do all of our pulls and inspections. The Hoy switch is recent.
I think this might be the same amount that they did for when they pulled well for the season.
This is just gonna take a look at it and tell us what
What we need to do.
we need to do.
What repairs or rebuild or what it needs, or if it just needs to be cleaned, but it's, I mean,
Do you remember approximate cost of, like, if it has to be completely replaced?
it's probably on the bills payable from the last meeting. We just paid the invoice on the last one that got reinstalled. Oh, that was the one that was just.
Yeah, I asked about that. 'Cause that was a $16,000 bill on pump 4.
Yeah.
Yes,
So that was a repair, that was a replace, right?
that was not a replace. I think that one was a repair and a cleaning for both the pump and the well before they reinstalled.
So, yeah, again, there's two things we'd be facing. A pump, possible pump issues and possible well issues, because it looks like there's another 44,000 for well 3. All right, this is to pull the pump,
Mhm.
so that's to evaluate the pump and also to inspect the well?
Mhm.
57.
Yeah.
For chicken.
Yeah. Over, I see, it's still show all the.
what needs to be done.
Yeah,
Push the-
if it's that low.
Yeah. What's it all?
Yeah,
Talking about.
What are our higher performing wells pumping right now?
4 and 5 are our highest performing ones. We're currently pumping 3 and 5. 3 and 4. 4 usually does about 630 gallons.
Okay. Exactly what everyone should be.
Right, so it would be nice during the summer months if we could have 4 and 5 running, because then we could get to that 1,200 to 1,300 gallons per minute range, which would more than sustain the system. But we do have there's like an air gap issue because when 4 pumps around and then it's at 5, it just goes into a T. So you kind of have that pressure coming straight out from 5 with the pressure meeting from 4. So we kind of, there's
Is there like
like,
a vent or something that needs
there's
to be
like
added?
and there might be a venting thing, there might be something that we venture into with you guys too, is that, we look at why we can't have 4 and 5 running at the same time.
Okay.
Because that definitely would get us more
Yeah,
raw.
I was thinking if it like creates like a vacuum from it and stuff.
Right.
Okay.
So, yeah, usually during the summer months, we would do, it used to be 3 and 5, and then in the winter, we would do 2 and 4. Just because in the winter, obviously, we were way less.
Mhm.
Oh, you can do it.
Yeah, get it done before winter.
Very good.
All right.
All right, we have a motion.
Motion to.
Motion to approve proposal.
One second.
Just a second. Voice vote.
Okay.
I,
Nays. All right, now we're on the, oh, they're both, the SCADA upgrade from Tri State Electric.
So, I've been working with, Bryson, who's been talking to our SCADA tech, looking at what our upgrade options would be for, our SCADA. Basically, the system that we have now is very outdated. I think parts of it we can't even repair or replace if they break. We will need to upgrade the system one way or another. With Lenny here, I thought we would take the opportunity to determine if this is budgeted for this next fiscal year to upgrade the SCADA, and it would impact a lot of pieces of our water system overall. But I don't know if there's some benefit to waiting to approve the SCADA upgrade till after the PER, or if they're going to work separately. I mean, I don't know what the impact would be.
If you're doing an upgrade of something that any improvements you move forward with, we would just have to make sure that we could get it tied into it if needed, like if you do a new well, being able to tie that into the SCADA, if you want to be able to monitor the well remotely, but I don't see any issues with doing it now. If it's needed, I would do it.
Is it from Windows 7? PC that runs it?
Yeah, Yep, so to upgrade to Windows 11, and an upgrade in the SCADA would allow for some remote monitoring as well and some remote access, which we could do safely, with the VPN, the upgrade to our IT services so that we can minimize the amount of call-ins, just, if they have an alarm and have to go in.
The SCADA system currently is not online on the internet at the table, so they're selling running.
You
It
guys
should
can
be.
remotely monitor, but I don't think you can do any.
yeah, we can remotely turn the system on and off.
Okay,
We can shut down pumps if we need to.
yeah,
So we do have access, but it's not like the waste plant has a much larger scale of access to their system.
yeah,
But the water system is just kind of like that bare bones where we can view it, we can turn it on and off, and then we can shut pumps down if we need to.
good. Unless they want to get rid of the manual analog dial for alarm system. They might want, is that, or how's that work currently?
So yeah, that thing currently right now is just a dial-out system where SCADA communicates to the call system that goes to and
Where to go to?
so it goes like a third-party call system.
Okay, it tells somebody.
What city TAS that you see in your building?
Yeah, and then they call somebody else, they got,
And then it gives, yeah, then they'll go down a call list
yeah,
and then they can send you a prompt. You can acknowledge alarms and then it'll tell you what's going on.
mhm,
But then I mean, that's the extent of it. It's like you're not talking to a real person. You can,
yeah, okay. I'm not concerned with the state of the world. I mean, internet's great with everything you can do on it. It's also worth enemy of everything you can do on it. Everybody can do anything. I just wondered if we shouldn't look at more of this, what the utilities being offline versus online. I mean, it's a pain, but if it's not online, people can't hack into it to do bad things. It's people don't do. That's where
I
I'm
think
coming
that's
from.
inevitable, that's, you know,
I know.
way to go, and that's why we're upgrading.
Thing that will make a difference as well from,
It does, but it's never guaranteed.
no, but
They always find a way.
Is this the only bid we received just from Tri-City, or were there other bids, or is this who you?
That's who we work, that's our SCADA tech. He basically had to kind of build and learn the system to do our SCADA, and he does the sewer system, SCADA as well. So he's kind of specialized in our system, I guess, that we're a little bit unique. Very knowledgeable. He's been working with us a long time.
Prior to JV at Tri-City, we used automated engineering, and I think they've since gone out of business. And they were out in Chicago, so it was hard to get a technician here.
I was just wondering, because I'm kind of familiar with this software. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, it's
I
one
knew
where,
about two other people where they'd probably get it for about.
yeah, it's widely used. It's been around for years. So.
That was last.
I guess one concerning thing here is they have a caveat here, current voice over IP network used with City of Eldridge is obsolete. And it can't be guaranteed there'll be any availability from Mitel CAF license. There's 4 left and no availability to purchase. So,
So that's what we need to upgrade.
yeah,
That's where we're in kind of a more of an urgent need to get SCADA upgrades to make sure things are communicating efficiently and effectively. And also as far as online, making sure that we're securing that remote access with a VPN instead of just using
yeah.
remote login
Yep.
app. So yeah, that's one of the biggest reasons that we're requested the proposal when we did, because we are at a point now where we know that portions of our system are no longer even available on the market.
That's right.
And I can say most municipalities I work with do use one unless they're not happy, then they'll go to another one, but a lot of times they use the same one mainly from the standpoint of we have different integrators and different skills of people talking with each other and getting access to it. It's gonna be tricky, so.
I do like the fact this mimics the wastewater plant, so there's already that going for us.
Our wastewater operators are also certified, well, one of them is certified in water distribution as well. Well, 2 of them actually are certified in water distribution and water treatment. Being able to utilize them in both departments if necessary, it's nice to be able to.
Mhm.
Is this something that was budgeted in the past for this?
It's budgeted in fiscal year 25. There's $100,000 budgeted in this upcoming fiscal year for a SCADA upgrade.
Okay, thanks. We're just reviewing it. Okay. We got department update, IMG from Egan.
Everything's been going good. The lab portion of the construction is pretty much completed. They did the floor, it's all done. We're fully operational in the lab now.
Okay,
Plant's been running good. Our usage is down right now. The rates have helped us out. So we're bouncing in between 400 and 700,000 gallons a run cycle. So the system's definitely keeping up and we're gonna get there. We started back teas for July today. We'll do disinfection byproducts starting tomorrow. That'll all get taken to QCN with a cold mill, ship it off to state reporting. We got an award from the CDC for fluoride residuals. I think this is a few years running that we received this one, but this year was kind of a special one because we were only one of 4 municipalities in 6 counties that received this award. So this was a big one for us that we should be proud of. I think we're already kind of qualified. So they're running 2 years behind. So I think they kind of told us, so we got for 2022
oh,
this time. And so now I think they already told us that we got. So we're keeping the train rolling for there, but, other than that, yeah, we're keeping the ship sailing and we're doing a good job over there, so.
Now, is that something you guys put in your newsletters? Cause it would be good to see some congratulations to the team for doing that, but like it would be good for the community, I think, to see that too.
That's it. They came and took our picture in here and,
Yeah.
they do a posting and so like, I guess, I don't know, I forget what website. It was the CDC through iSmile, which they identified just here and, so there's a posting about Eldridge getting that award, so.
We'll put it out on Facebook too after we got it.
Yeah.
Through tonight.
Perfect.
Okay. That concludes section 8.
I have one thing to add to that section, if I can quick. I know we keep going back on this. Do we have any updates on what we're doing about the inventory?
I
These
think-
departments?
I did come across some inventory data from 2023 and 2024 that I was looking through today. I was gonna send it out to you guys tomorrow. I'm just trying to get a grasp on what all it has included in it, so I can figure out, where we are and where we go from there. But it looks pretty detailed. I think there's a lot of good information in there, but
And then we can, like, I believe we discussed before, we can get some more checks in place to make sure like that checks and balance system is there and parts are coming in and coming out and
Yep.
if anybody feels, you know, that to come from you too, you know, if we need to keep a few more things, say a transformer. Everyone have the same.
Certain things to keep in stock so that we don't have to run. Or
When I would say, speaking for all of us, you guys have your feet on the ground. So that's something, you know, we want to hear that from you guys too, or anything you see, or, hey, we don't need to be doing this, or hey, we could use more of this.
So speaking of that one, and we have some small inventory in system. So we can discuss, there might be something down the road too, that chlorine system has to be replaced every year. And it's like, those are small components that we could definitely keep on hand. And, Pat Berry with J.R. Smith, he helped us build that chlorine system. So he's got all that stuff that we can kind of readily available. So that would be one thing, I guess, for inventory sake, I guess.
So like, that brings up a good point too, and off something else, so you do obviously have some chemicals on site, where is, you know, like the SDS sheets kept, like, who keeps track of that type of stuff? Is that,
So we have, it has to be like it has to be right by the front door. We have a binder that's sitting by the front door. It's bolted to the wall.
so is that, like, are you guys in the field, like, pulling those when you get something new, or who's checking that?
some of it goes through our IAMU safety group. They keep us in compliance with all of the safety trainings and the documentation for that.
To piggyback on the chemicals, and I had spoken to them about this, but, we had Sandra Jordan, our regional safety coordinator. She was up at the water plant today, and our big discussion was getting respirators. It's gonna have to be something that we bring to you guys too, because those respirators are very expensive.
Hey, my license for training in that might still be good.
I guess the beard's gonna go, huh?
No, so these
No,
ones,
you know, yeah, they have different ones.
now they have ones that are hoods that are
Okay.
locking your neck line, so no, Sandra had brought that up, that I probably have to shave my beard, but no. There's ones that qualify, we have to have a full face acid gas mask. This one has a battery pack that forces air to your helmet, so.
it's gotta be similar to the isolation rooms in the hospital.
So
Look like
we
Canadian.
looked into SCBA's, the subcontained rehab apparatus the fire department uses, but then that comes into a whole new level of training. And, Sandy actually she wrote a recommendation for respirators, and I talked to one of the floor managers at 3M for chemicals and what respirators they use, so he gave me a recommendation too, which ones to order, so.
I'll have to look through there because I think when I used to do business, they did do the beer ones, because obviously we have a lot of men who don't put your beer, you know, stuff like that, but, we did go through there. And it was, that's great that you have her like recommending that.
Yeah.
And then they do a lot of the training online too, and then I was able to at that time. I was certified. It's another aspect of that trainer, so I did that too.
Mhm.
But it's pretty easy to walk through and now, so that's, I'll look and see if I can find.
Yeah, with the CBAs, they're more expensive, plus the training. But then the respirators that we're looking to get are, you need no training, you can just throw them on and it's rated for the chemicals that we're. Just rough guess, right now it's probably about 6,500 to get two of them. So that's obviously something that we'll have to bring to you guys to get approval for.
And did she tell you? Because I don't believe those are interchangeable. If that's yours, it's
Yeah,
dedicated
So
to you.
So these ones are universal fit, and the most you would have to do is every time you took it off, just take an alcohol wipe or some disinfectant wipe and wipe off the helmet and then the face mask. But other than that, it's just a filter pack. It's a belt strap filter pack. And they have indicator alarms for when the filter's getting clogged and you have to change the filters. And the filters are like $170 a piece, but they're reusable, so you can use them more than just the one time. So.
Good.
It's definitely information we'll bring to you guys for approval.
Yeah, let us know and get some more.
So, yep, I'll get more information for you.
Okay. Alrighty, on to item 9. Discussion for a closed session pursuant to Iowa Code 21.51C to discuss strategy with council on matters that are presently in litigation or where litigation is imminent, where its disclosure would be likely to prejudice or disadvantage the position of the governmental body in that litigation. And Iowa Code 21.51G to avoid disclosure of specific law enforcement matters such as current or proposed investigations or inspection or auditing techniques or schedules, which is disclosed would enable law violators to avoid detection. All that said, do we have a motion?
Do we have something on the agenda for that, or?
Yeah.
We do, okay.
Motion.
Motion. Paul Petovich,
Here.
Peterson,
Here.
Yep,
Grizzly, and Girls, yes. Motion passes. So with that, we'll. Looks like.
Nice to meet you.